Brendan, you've obviously experienced this mixture. What is it all about for you?
Well, there's an intense rivalry there. Obviously, I've experienced both games now, the Liverpool manager, the United game and the Everton game, and there's something that wee bit more intense in this rivalry. You know, it's not just the football clubs, it's the cities that you're representing. So, but it was a game last year that we were unfortunate not to get something from, and we lost the game. But we're very confident going into this game. It's a game where it should be very close, but we're at home and we'll look to take the initiative in the game.
Are you at a level this season where you feel you can challenge them for league position?
Well, I think if you look at our numbers since we last played Manchester United in January, I think that's the improvements really where we've really kicked on. The big thing for us was consistency, and from when we played them in January, we've played 18 Premier League games each up until this point now. They've won 11 and we've won 10. We have drawn 6 games and they've drawn 5, and we've both lost 2 games. So over the course of that period from January, they've made 2 points more than us, which I think shows that, and obviously they became champions. And for us, it's really the case of continuing with that consistency, and if we can do that, then I think we can compete with anyone. But we know it's a really difficult challenge. So, but I think we've shown enough in these last numbers of months, second half of the season, and hopefully the beginning of this season, that we can sustain a challenge, and that's something that we're very determined to do this season.
Under a new manager, and perhaps without the signings that they would have liked to have made this summer, do you see them as vulnerable?
I don't believe so. I think that going in after Sir Alex is obviously a huge ask for any manager, and obviously David done a terrific job at Everton and has earned the right to go in there and do it the way that he wants to do it. Now, you could argue and look at it in the 2 games that they've played, you know, comparing to last season. Obviously, Man United drew at Swansea 1-1 last season, and they've beaten Swansea 4-1 this time. And in the corresponding fixture at home with Chelsea, they lost 1-0, and this one they drew. So they've actually taken 4 points out of 6, so instead of 1. So I think it's one that, you know, David's got a group of winners there and players that have been there for a long time. He knows that it's a massive job, and like coming into a club like Liverpool as well, which is a huge challenge. But you embrace that because of the nature of the clubs, and as I said, and to bring the success that the clubs have been used to.
And you've got a cup game to look forward against them as well.
Yeah, it's always good.
Obviously, Louis could come back in that cup game. Just wonder if you're seeing the focus and the enthusiasm back from him in training as well.
I think I said last week, I'll talk about the players that's available. And what we'll say is that he has been working very hard in training and played a game behind closed doors. But the focus is purely on getting him up to match fitness by the time he's available, but really concentrating on the players that are available.
We have Kolo Toure available this weekend.
Well, his injury is nowhere near as bad as what we thought. We'll just assess that over the next 24, 48 hours. I think we were all thinking that he might be out for longer after the game, but he's made an excellent recovery. The diagnosis isn't anywhere near as bad as what we thought, so we'll see how he is for this weekend. If it's not this weekend, then we would think after the international break he won't be too far away.
Sissoko and Joe Allen?
Yeah, Joe likewise. It was only a grade 1 strain, so maybe doubtful for the weekend, but certainly after the international break, fine. And young Ali Sissoko will be slightly different. He could be 46 weeks, which is a blow because he came in and trained really well last week. But he's on crutches at the moment, and we'll just, as I said, look at that over the coming weeks. But he certainly won't be available.
And given the transfer speculation, can I throw a few names at you?
You throw away.
Thiago Ilori from Sporting. What's happening there?
Nothing. Nothing.
No deal close to being done.
I wouldn't tell you anyway.
There's talk that there is. He's coming over.
Is that right? Okay.
Not the case.
Yeah. Well, I won't tell you about it, even if he was.
Yarmolenko.
Never heard of him.
Shay Given. You've heard of him.
Heard of him. Top goalkeeper, good Irishman, but I'm going to say nothing on any players, Vinny.
Mamadou Sakho.
Keep going.
Victor Moses.
Keep going.
That's it, actually.
Good man. Well done.
Is it shy when they're asking questions, or when we're all asking questions about transfers? Is it because there's quite a lot recently that have been maybe too public?
No, it's just you guys keep asking, and we've, as managers, got to give the same answers to you, really. There's nothing to report until you have a player signed and in the building, really. And obviously because of the nature of the window and certainly in this country where the gossip and speculation that goes on, then you end up, there's so many players linked with the football club that if you answered every single one, then you'd be here all day and all night. So as every manager does, you're better to say nothing until the player's in the building, and until that point it's only ever speculation.
I know you touched upon it, but obviously it's David Moyes' first Liverpool United game as manager. Can you remember how you felt when you went into your first version of this occasion? Does it change things as a manager? Do you go out there with different feelings?
Well, you understand what you're representing, certainly. You know, I'm sure he'll feel different, you know, a Liverpool-Everton game to a Liverpool-Manchester United game. You know, this is a game that for many years is still arguably one of the biggest games in the world, and he'll feel that, I'm sure, at Anfield. And David's been to Anfield a number of times, of course, you know, with Everton. But there's a different feel to this one. This is, you know, a rivalry that is passionate and fierce and competitive, which is what you want to. But there's also respect between the two clubs as well. So, but I'm sure he'll look forward to it, like I was, and I was really looking forward and excited about the game. And obviously, you're always apprehensive going into the big games, you know. But certainly for myself, I can only speak. And last year I was very proud of the players. I'm very proud of the club. You know, it was a day where we were celebrating as well, and I thought the club put on a marvellous show. And the only thing we didn't get was the result, even though we had a great performance. So hopefully we can get both this time.
And in terms of maybe he's putting down a marker of intent to your credentials this season, how important would a win in this game be?
Well, it would be important. It's not going to determine where we'll end up for sure, but I think last year it's been well documented that we didn't get enough wins in the games against the opponents above us, but we also didn't lose many either. And I think it's just those small percentages this season. You know, we drew home and away with Chelsea. You know, we drew home and away with Manchester City. You know, we obviously beat Tottenham at home. Arsenal we drew away when we were winning. So there's small margins for us to improve on, and I think we've shown that we can do that. Still going to be an immensely tough game and a difficult game, but we're ready for that. And I feel that the team is much better and much more ready for the challenges this year. And obviously there's no bigger challenge than playing the champion. So, but we'll relish it.
And it would be a very special birthday if he was still with us on Monday, obviously with Bill Shankly, and they're going to honour him before the game as well. How important is that? And did you ever have any contact at all, or any memories of Bill Shankly? You were obviously quite little, but...
Yeah, I was very young. I'm only 40. But no, he's the legacy that he's left behind here at Liverpool is something that's with us to this very day. You know, the club that Liverpool is renowned for worldwide was really started by him. And I've never, obviously, of course, never ever met the man, but in my time here, I've got to speak to many of the old players that work with him, and as I said, the legend lives on here, you know, very strongly. And as I said, he created what is known now as one of the biggest families in the world. So, and done it in a way that, again, as I said, his ethics and values at this club has been retained and renowned as the Liverpool way. So, a remarkable man. Came in and picked the club off its knees when it was in the second division. Stayed for about 15 years. Successful. You know, played a style and played the game, Liverpool at that time, and the start of it with a charisma, you know, that we're trying to get back to the team and what many of the old Copites have been used to at this football club. But no, his legend lives on here and will do for time.
And do you still get the butterflies or the nice feeling when you come in through that door and you see him when you walk through the door as well?
Yeah, it's a huge honour, and it's one of the reasons I came here. I came here because of the history of this club. You know, it's what draws you to here, and then the challenge of the future to try and get it back to those heady days. So when you walk in here every single morning of your life, you walk past the bus that's on the outside, the words motivate you, and then there's the small measure of the European Cup sat out there as well, which means that you have to be good every day when you come in here. It's the challenge, because that's the club that it is, and as a manager, it's a great privilege to take on the challenge.
Thank you.
Yeah, just on the rivalry between the two clubs, but would you say it is still the biggest game in English football, this?
Well, I certainly think that everyone looks at it as that. You know, I think for us here, you know, Liverpool-Manchester United is a massive game. And as I said, it's more than a football game. It's a story of two cities, and you're representing the people of your city, you know, and the history of that city. So it's more than a football match. But it's important that you retain that calmness and belief on the field to get the result, because ultimately that's what it's about.
And does that go for off the field as well? You presumably say to both sets of fans to keep things in perspective.
Well, I think they do. You don't want to ever take away that passion, and as I said, you want that competition and that fierceness of that competition and being competitive. That's what it's about. That's what the games are about. You're fighting for your own people and for your club. But as I said, it's the atmosphere always makes. You know, the atmosphere last year at Anfield was incredible, and I'm really looking forward to sampling that again. And I'm sure, as I said, we'll be in a better place, hopefully, to go and put on a performance and ultimately get the result, which is what we're after.
Yeah. Brendan, I was wondering if I could just get your thoughts on a couple of broader issues. The first one being the transfer deadline. A lot of people are saying that they think it'd be better if the transfer deadline passed before the start of the season. So I was wondering what your thoughts were on that. Yeah,
I would definitely go with that, especially this season. Absolutely. I just think there's something morally not right. You know, when players are sat in a changing room and the season has already kicked off, you're underway in your job, and there maybe, and I'm sure there's changing room, every changing room around the country, no matter what level it is, there'll be players, there'll be asked and agents working to get them to other clubs, and so I think that makes it ultra difficult, and there's no doubt that the window was open for a period of time, but I believe that it should finish once the season begins, and because what you'll find now after the weekend, once Monday passes, everything returns to the norm, and clubs are a much better place then, and it's people then just settle down and get on with it.
The other thing also relates to the players. I was wondering if you found it kind of concerning, the story at the moment about Gordon Taylor at the PFA, what your reaction was to that.
I seen something on it this morning there, and I've got no direct comment in relation to Gordon. Any time I have met him, he's a good man, but I think there's issues. You know, I've worked with some players and some people that have had problems of that ilk, if that is the case, and it's a difficult, it's a disease. It's not, you know, it's a problem, and I think the issues in football become even greater in the next few years. I think the money at the top end of the game is there, you know, all the TV money and everything that's coming into the game. But I think the issues for players down the ladder, it becomes even more difficult. And as I said, I've had examples of young players that I've worked with that have had issues, and it's something that they definitely need help with, and because it's not just something that, you know, can destroy you, it can destroy your family. So, but I think all there's support out there for footballers and for people in general with problems such as gambling, but it's definitely something that needs to be looked at in football, because it's something that can affect a family, and that's obviously not what you want.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Okay.
Very well, Jeff.